Are
you
sure this isn't a setup for, you know, the real thing?
Oh! Das Spiel habe ich als Kind gespielt mal.
She's a surgeon.
Oh!
Oh my god. Wait, what if I just...
Sozialer Entzug. Ich wünsche euch viel Spaß.
Hallo Leute, mein Name ist Sozialentzug und ja, heute ist der Reaction Day sozusagen. Jeden Samstag ist der Fokus auf Reaktion statt normalen Content und es gibt heute zwei. SD4 läuft um 18 Uhr und heute erschien auch noch, besser gesagt gestern, aber ich habe geschlafen, eine Jaiden Animation namens I Was Almost in Squid Game. Okay. Bin interessant, wie die Story abgeht. Let's go. Sorry, now, let's go.
I was almost in Squid Game. I specifically mean Netflix's reality show version, not like the actual one where people died. Sorry for a bit of a bait there, but also I'm not lying.
Ich habe jetzt eher mit Mr. Beast gerechnet.
Story, I need to explain how I was even put in that situation to begin with. Early last year, Jacob, our friend Joe, my brother Jax, and I all went to this little Squid Game pop-up event hosted by Netflix. It looked interesting, to say the least. A combination of curiosity and boredom are what convinced us to buy tickets. Our Uber took us to the location provided, and we were dropped off at a scary back alley in the streets of LA. Are you sure this isn't a setup for, you know, the real thing? We hunted down the entrance, headed up Squid Game themed stairs, and inside was a big lobby with merch, snacks, decorations. You know what else was in there? No other human beings. We were the only ones there, along with the shape guys that were just staring at us.
Creepy!
Are you sure this isn't... I don't know anymore. Staff silently gave us numbered wristbands. What? It's like Squid Game! Eventually more contestants showed up, and soon enough we were herded into the starting room, decorated very much like no one actually cared about this thing. And if they did, corporate ruined it. The staff guy gave us the rundown on how the event was gonna work, all the rules, such and such. But sprinkled throughout the explanation were like a lot of safety hazard jokes. I know the concept of the whole thing is rooted in playing dangerous games and dying and ooh, evil dystopian. But he was saying things like, don't lean on the walls. You might rip through it, and I don't want to fill out any paperwork if you hurt yourself. Don't touch anything that you shouldn't touch.
Okay.
I don't want to have to fill out paperwork again. He was anti paperwork, like way more than the actual human safety part. Based on what we've seen so far, our group knew we were about to exactly what we were hoping for, but with no that part. For the first game, we were led into a room with lines of glass squares. What? It's like Squid Game again! The glass jumping part! When it was your turn, the pattern on the 10 squares would be shown, and you needed to memorize which tiles to step on.
Ah, so ein bisschen wie damals in der Tabeluga-Show. Wer erinnert sich noch an das Ding von damals?
The first batch of people stepped up, the patterns all flashed, but before anyone could begin stepping on glass, they were instructed to hold it and only take one step at a time. For the whole game, we had to watch everyone take one individual step, stop, wait to be confirmed, then take one more step for 10 spaces. In like 6 groups total. Also, I think that whatever mechanism they used to track if people were out or not was super busted, because literally
ich weiß, dass die Show ein Flop war.
In total got their pattern right. Joe, Jacob, and Jax all swore they memorized their pattern correctly, but were eliminated anyway. I know I botched mine up though. I've got paper shredder brain. They could give me one tile to memorize and I would still forget it. 25 of the 30 people failed their very first puzzle. Now, Netflix knew that if people paid $40, yeah, 40, to be in this shitty little Squid Game event, and then had to go home after the first game, they would be pretty upset. So the
Yeah.
rule was for the first 4 challenges, no one would be eliminated. Yay, woohoo, phew, that was a close one. In the next room, they tried to combine both the honeycomb game and the marbles game from the show, but what was put together was throw marbles in the shape on the table to win other people's marbles. It was very anticlimactic. Unfortunately, we were only able to gather in groups of 3, so Joe wasn't able to join us. Instead, he was paired up as a third wheel to a random couple that was obviously here on a date. Jax cleaned up shop on us and got all our marbles within minutes. But over at Joe's table, malicious injustice was afoot. Apparently, the 2 people that were in a romantic relationship ganged up on Joe, and after taking all his marbles, just split them up between each other. Despite there being no actual stakes in the game, Joe was furious simply out of principle and swore to get revenge on them somewhere, somehow. Before he could even start any beef, we were brought into the next room, and again, we're split into groups, this time of 4. They really liked group activities in this thing. Walking through the doors to the challenge, everyone was stationed around a respective gift coffin. After opening them up, it was revealed we were going to be playing a big version of Operation, the game where you try to pick up fake little
Das Spiel habe ich als Kind gespielt mal.
tools without touching the sides. So, simulated surgery. Like, I guess that was kinda in Squid Game. At least
ja, das stimmt. Das war ein bisschen drin. Ich habe die Show gesehen.
We're really pushing it at this point. Jacob and I randomly got paired up with this married couple, and the 4 of us started inspecting the tools, when suddenly, the woman goes, "Oh, will you pass me the forceps?" She's a surgeon. Oh my god, we just happened to be paired up with a lady whose literal job was Operation. The challenge began and the 3 of us took our hands off the tools, she cracked her knuckles, and we watched as all the plastic organs Not surprisingly, our team was the first finish. When we got back together with
war
Joe,
absoluter Glücksfall.
How we got super lucky to be paired up with an actual surgeon that literally soloed the whole thing, and Joe was like, "Wait, that guy was a surgeon?" And Jacob and I had to shake our heads and say, "No, Joe, she was a surgeon." Damn it. Now that we were entering the first challenge, it was time to get serious. This was the first game where people would start getting eliminated for realsies. But not realsies. Everyone was
Nein, nicht für die
and taken to one side of a wall where there was a bunch of prop boats. It was a kind of not really IRL version of Battleship where we had to try and shoot down all the
Battleship? Jetzt passt gar nicht mehr.
That one would progress into the 5th game.
Ach halt, das war die letzte Szene bei der Flucht. Ich erinnere mich.
Good enough. Sure, you know, we didn't get to choose where to put our boats since they were bolted to the floor, but I guess we did only pay $40 to be here. For some reason, though, the staff member on our side was, we can call it, extremely helpful. At first, he was saying general tips, like, so if they still have a 4-tile boat, let's check all the areas that could fit that. You know, saying vague hints to help us out a bit. But by the end of it, he was just straight up telling us, if I were you guys, I would shoot right here. Like, this guy wanted us to win, and
no, my
so either he had some kind of bet going on with the other staff members, or dude just had places to be. All the other team's boats were sunk, and the remaining 15 or so people were led into the semi-final game. It was obvious as soon as we saw her,
die Musik.
We were finally playing the classic.
Das Spiel, was eigentlich am Anfang kommt, kommt gegen Ende.
Decorated like the show, the doll was there, but there were giant gift boxes scattered around the room to act as obstacles. Because when you think about it, red light, green light isn't high stakes when staff can't actually shoot the contestants. Like, something had to be added to spice it up a bit. We gathered on the starting line, and the game started. As we were playing, I was thinking, how are they measuring if we're moving or not? You know, I doubt they recreated the entire motion tracking doll thing just for this pop-up that's
das ist nur so wie bei Mr. Beast.
I figured the only thing they could be using to track motion is our wristband, so in between the green lights, I focused extra hard on making sure my wrist stayed as still as possible. In fact, I was focusing so hard on my wrist that I I didn't even realize I was the first one to pass the finish
Oh!
line. Unfortunately, similarly to the janky glass memory game, it seemed like a lot of the wristbands were super wonky as well because a lot of people got pinged as eliminated no matter how still they were, including Jacob and Jax, which was a huge buzzkill. Either that or they were just built to be super sensitive and somehow my weak little carpal tunnel
Oder
bursts
sie wollten
decided to
Kosten
not
sparen.
shake for the first time in 5 years. I turned back to see just 3 people left. One of them
Oh
lunged
nein!
forward, and as red light was called for the final time, I watched as Joe tripped and crashed into them, causing every person left to topple to the floor. Their wristbands
Hat sein Karma bekommen!
eliminated. As Joe was walking past me to the dead area, I asked what happened, to which he said, "I got him." He sacrificed himself to bump those people.
Ich wusste
because
es.
they were the couple that ganged up on him during Marbles. He had finally
Kleine Rache!
revenge. Was
Das
it
nenne ich
petty?
Karma.
Yes. Did he probably ruin their date? Yes. But do I also not care and think that was the funniest shit ever? Absolutely. Joe is awesome. I was somehow
Okay, in diesem Fall kann man's verstehen. Sie haben angefangen.
Me and the other 4 winners of
Hatte in diesem Fall recht und es war ja nichts ernsthaft
And
Gefährliches.
everyone else was there too, watching from behind a little rope. Jaiden, Squid Game is so rough and tough. How did you fare against the 4 other dudes that made it to the end? In real Squid Game, the guy got stabbed. Did you get stabbed?
Nein, natürlich nicht.
And oh dear viewer,
Logik?
no, I did not get stabbed. In fact, I didn't get hurt at all because Netflix didn't want to deal with paperwork. Instead, we played hold a fake egg on a string and attack each other until there's 1 egg standing, but attack in a way where there's no paperwork, which is fine with me because I doubt any of us actually knew how to play Squid Game anyway. The buzzer rang and everyone started shifting around in the shape. Since I,
Oh,
for
Pokémon
some
kam es
reason,
in
have
Popo-Musik.
experience in high-stakes game tournaments, I deployed my signature strategy of don't bring attention to myself. I simply dodged and weaved between the guys swiping at each other's eggs. I can take someone
Ja,
down
das
in a
ist die
1v1,
beste Taktik.
but any number higher and I've gone well past my capabilities. Eventually there were just 3 people left. The crowd started yelling, "Get the girl's still in!" And the 2 guys started walking towards me. But then my personal peanut gallery chimed in with, hey, they're ganging up on the girl! Boo, shame, boo. And that flustered them enough to back away again.
Gut.
Apparently, the power
Die Freunde haben sie
of
gerettet.
fear of misogyny can persevere through anything. Suddenly, an egg hit the floor. It was just me and non-woman-hating guy number 2. The exact 1v1 I was trying to create. We circled each other, both our spoon-holding arms stretched out as far as they could go. He swung at my egg a couple times and I managed to dodge, but I couldn't win this thing if I didn't go on the offense. Wait, what if I just... I won the silly little Netflix Squid Game pop-up. The front man came out and escorted me to the VIP area where he gave me a plastic animal mask, like in Squid Game. And we took awesome photos together, and I got an awesome t-shirt that said winner. And I didn't know it at the time, but as this was happening, the staff pretended to shoot all the losers with fake gun sounds. Unfortunately, I didn't get the 45.6 billion money prize like in the show, but along with the t-shirt, they did give me a special form to fill out that would give me priority application for Netflix's actual Squid Game reality show, Squid Game: The Challenge, Season 2. I looked at the form and thought, you know, we'll just see what happens. Filled it out and was able to bring my friends back to the VIP room with me because winning isn't fun unless you do it with your friends. That's what Squid Game taught me. There were a bunch of snacks and alcoholic beverages in the winner area, and I gotta say, the alcoholic squid drinks were probably the worst things I've ever tasted. It was astonishing how bad they were. Over a year later, and I can still imagine it. I don't even know what ingredient could do that to a drink. Anyway, after I submitted my form, I half expected to never hear anything about it ever again. But to my surprise, Netflix reached out to interview me about potentially being a contestant on the show. In fact, I was forwarded to the next round of interviews 3 times to completely break any potential rules of confidentiality. I was starting to think there might be a chance I could actually be on the show. But eventually, the interviews came to a stop, and I have come to the conclusion they have moved on to better qualifying people. Most likely because I will admit I was a bit too honest during the interviews. They basically all just looked like this. What kind of a role do you think you would play in Squid Game as a contestant? I'd probably just be a follower. I don't like taking charge at all. How hard would you fight to win Squid Game?
Oh man.
Not that hard. Have you watched the first season of Squid Game, The Challenge? No. Well, I watched the first 20 minutes, but I turned it off because I thought it was really badly paced and boring. So
Ja.
that was that, and I'm okay with it.
Weil es
Or
geklaut
who
von
knows,
Mr. Beast
maybe
war.
they saw my very strange track record of winning game tournaments and got scared. It kind of seems like those kinds of really
Interessantes
intense and
3D-Modell.
active game shows like real life Squid Game end up having a lot of people complaining about how they got hurt or weren't treated all that great anyway. So I'm glad I'm sitting safe and sound in the comfort of my own home. I'm glad I'm not dealing with Squid Game related injuries, in fact. Also, very quick reminder that techwear merch is going away soon. If you're late to watching this video, it's probably already gone, to be honest. Sorry. I tried to warn you. Thanks for watching, though, and see you later.
Das ist jetzt schon die dritte Werbung im kompletten Video. YouTube ist werbungssüchtig. Ja. Das war interessant. Hätte nicht erwartet, dass die fast drin war, aber am Ende war Squid Game nur eine absolut billige Version von Mr. Beast Idee, die absolut geklaut war. Schlecht umgesetzt, wie ich hörte. Ich habe mir die Show übrigens nicht angesehen. Könnte ich, tue ich mir aber nicht an. Und ja, am Ende ist dadurch die Beast Games entstanden. Die, glaube ich, 100-mal besser sind. Keine Ahnung, ich sehe das Zeug nicht mal auf der Frontpage von Netflix. Naja, war auf jeden Fall eine sehr interessante Animation mit ziemlich viel Story. Und super gemacht, Jaiden Animations und Team. Damit bedanke ich mich fürs Zusehen, bleibt sozial, lasst ein Abo und bye!